Question 2. So I also told that a man gave 3/5 of his money to his wife and 1 out of 4 of the remainder to his son. If he was left with 90,000, find how much the son received. So what do? The man gave 3 out of 5 to his wife and 1/4 of the remainder. Now we need to know, after giving 3 out of 5 to the wife, what will be remaining? Assuming, just look at this in everyday life application. If you have a loaf of bread at home, you decide to eat 3 out of 5 of it, maybe on Monday. 3 out of 5 of it on Monday. Now what is the remainder? What fraction of the loaf of bread will be remaining? So if you ate 3 out of 5 of a loaf of bread on Monday, what fraction will remain? So it means that we shall get one whole number minus 3 out of 5 to give us what remains. If I have some money and I spend a half, then that means that I'll be remaining with a half in my pocket. If I have some oranges and I decide to give away 3/4, then it means that I'll be remaining with 1/4. So if the man gave 3 out of 5 of his money to his wife, it means that the remaining fraction will now be one whole number minus 3 out of 5. Now that is the interpretation, because we are told that and 1/4 of the remainder. So what remains after he has given the wife? 1/4 of what remains. So how do we handle that? Fraction that remains after giving the wife will simply be one whole number minus the fraction given to the wife. And what fraction is given to the wife? 3 out of 5. Now once we subtract this, we shall end up with LCM is 5 here. So 5 divided by 1 gives us 5 times 1, which is 5. Or you can simply write this one as 5 out of 5. So 5 out of 5 minus 3 out of 5, that will definitely give us 2 out of 5. Now the 2 out of 5 is actually what remains after 3 out of 5 has been given to the wife. Now what happens? Fraction given to the wife and the son, it means that I'll get the fraction given to the wife, which is 3 out of 5 plus, now the fraction given to the son, it is very clear here, 1/4 of what remains. Now what remained after giving the wife? Our remainder was 2 out of 5. So when we sum up this, now you can check the computation of this. This is 3 out of 5 plus 2 out of 10. So once you sum up this, you'll definitely come up with 7 out of 10. Now you can check the validity of this. This is 3 out of 5 plus 2 out of 20. 2 out of 20. So we have this. This is 3 out of 5 plus 2 out of 20. So once we sum up this, we shall be remaining with, we shall end up with 7 out of 10. So 7 out of 10 is the fraction given to the wife and the son. Now after giving the wife and the son, what fraction will be remaining? Why are we getting interested in this fraction? Because we were told in the question that if he was left with 90,000 shillings, so we need to know what fraction remains after giving the wife and the son. So if the wife and the son received 7 out of 10, then the remaining fraction will simply be 1 minus what has already been given, 7 out of 10, and that gives us 3 out of 10. So the fraction remaining after giving the son and the wife is 3 out of 10. Now relate this to the question. The fraction remaining is 3 out of 10. The amount remaining is 90,000. So what does it mean? So it means that if M is the man's wealth, or is the man's money, or the money that the man had, then 3 out of 10 of M, because the 3 out of 10 is what remained, and then the 90,000 is actually the amount of money the man remained with. So once we get to this level, we just cross multiply, because this 90,000 is out of 1, and once we cross multiply, we shall end up with our variable M, or the man's wealth, or the man's money, at 300,000. Now this man had 300,000, but what is the question? We want to find out the amount of money given to the son. How do we get the amount of money given to the son? we need to get the fraction that the son received, which is a quarter of 2 out of 5, now times the man's money here, which is 300,000. Now this is the fraction that the son received. So the fraction given to the son is this, because he received a quarter of the remainder. Now the remainder was 2 out of 5. Why is it 2 out of 5? Because the wife had received 3 out of 5. And that gives us the amount given to the son at 30,000. Good. Now let us extend that knowledge to question number 3. So we have that a man spent a quarter, now these are the fractions that are guiding us, a quarter of his salary on fees and 2 out of 5 of the remainder on rent. 2 out of 5 of the remainder on rent. Now these are the statements we need to look at. Spent a quarter on fees, 2 out of 5 of the remainder on rent. If he was left with 270,000, find the man's salary, how much he spent on rent. So to begin with, can we get the fraction that remains after spending on fees? The man spent a quarter on fees. A quarter on fees. So after spending a quarter on fees, what will be remaining? After this man has spent a quarter on fees, it means that the fraction remaining would simply be one whole number minus what has been spent, which is a quarter. Now once we subtract this, LCM is 4. 4 divided by 1, 4 times 1, 4, minus 1 out of 4. That gives us 3 out of 4. So the fraction that remains after spending on fees is 3 out of 4. Now, what fraction is spent on fees and rent? So it means that we shall get the fraction spent on fees, which is actually a quarter, plus, now the fraction spent on rent, and the fraction spent on rent is simply this 2 out of 5 of the remainder. So that is 2 out of 5 of what remained, which is 3 out of 4. And that gives us, once we sum up this is a quarter plus 6 out of 20. A quarter plus 6 out of 20. Now you can compute this, you can do some side work here. Get a quarter and add, this is 6 out of 20. Try to check that and see whether you come to 11 out of 20. Don't simply write the answer is 11 out of 20. Now try to do some side work in your book and take a quarter, assuming you get a quarter, and add, this is 6 out of 20. That will now give us 11 out of 20. Now that is the fraction spent on fees and rent. Now after spending on fees and rent 11 out of 20, what will be remaining? Because we are interested in the remaining after spending on fees and rent, what will be remaining? Shall take one whole number minus what has been spent on fees and rent, and that value is actually 11 out of 20. So once we subtract, we shall get, you can check this. So this is 20 out of 20. So 20 minus 11, that will give us 9 out of 20. So if M is the man's salary, then 9 out of 20 of M is equivalent to 270,000. And that gives us a value of M after we've cross multiplied as 600,000. Now, how about the expenditure on rent? That means we need to get the fraction spent on rent, which is 2 out of 5 of 3 quarters. Now times the total. Times the total of the man's salary, and that gives us 180,000.